number 36 of Card Blitz. It's an NFL Sunday morning. Patrick, how you doing, man?
Good. It is an NFL Sunday morning, Kelly.
Dude, we got all sorts of Cowboys games and other NFL games coming up, and yeah, man, I think it's gonna be a coin flip between the Cowboys and the Giants. What do you think?
No, I think they right the ship. I think Dak comes out and proves why he's worth all that money and throws for 285, and Pickens gets involved, goes for about 75 yards today. I think the offense clicks.
And
So
CD gets it going on. No more like
CD
fumbles.
always CD will get his, buck 10, and then I think Pickens is the who I want to watch today. I think he needs to rebound, and I think Ferguson needs to get involved in the offense as well. So
So you make it sound like the Giants are just in disarray, and they've lost Jones, and then they lost Saquon the year before that, and they're just a mess.
Well, I think when you have Russell Wilson as leading your offense and you can get into his head early, which I think the Cowboys will do some stunts and some blitzing, and I think that's going to make a big difference. And I think it just goes downhill from there for them. That's my prediction, anyways. I'm not going to do a score, but I'm just giving you some tidbits.
We both want the Cowboys to come out on top, but yeah, we'll
Yes,
see,
I'll
man.
see some tidbits to watch. So
Well, hey man, did you watch any college football yesterday, or did you
I
get
did.
on any of those scores?
Yeah.
Anything like shocked you?
Well, Clemson losing, I think, was huge around here, obviously being in the Charlotte area. South Carolina, I mean, they didn't
Vanderbilt,
yeah,
dude,
they didn't
Vandy.
lose. They got beaten. I mean, it was ugly. And when you're talking about the parity of college football this year, that was a number 11 team in South Carolina, and they lost by what, 3 touchdowns or 2.5 touchdowns? I
Yeah,
mean,
it was pretty bad, man.
that's Vanderbilt, 34-10. I was like, whoa. And
Where'd that come
I
from,
think
right?
I think the LSU Florida game was pretty good until some key mistakes by Florida, and they just gave up a couple big plays at the wrong time to LSU, and you can't do that to a team that talented. So,
What
um,
about the late night Notre Dame Texas A&M game? And
I missed
Texas, that's gonna be a hot topic,
I
man.
missed the end of that, and I read it this morning. I couldn't believe that Notre Dame lost, I guess, in the last seconds, and now they're 0-2, and I'm like, wow, that
Yeah.
was pretty amazing.
Well, will they make the college playoff, the college football playoff? What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, it's going
They're
to
an
take some
independent,
resilience. Yeah,
so
it'll take some resilience and the new expanded format. I mean, I think it's going to be it'd be pretty. It's going to be. We'll see what happens. So
yeah. Well, then let's go ahead and just get to the hot topics, man, like show and tell and all that good stuff, man. So you got any cards? You do any
yeah,
card shows or card shops or digging through your treasure trove?
I was
You
just
got me.
going through, and it's football. It's NFL Sunday, and I just came across this card, and it still stopped me in my walk, in my gait today.
Sweetness.
Yeah, I mean, I was like looking at this, and it just brought back, and it ties into what our topics are going to be that we're going to talk about today. But just looking at this card and grabbing it and knowing it's NFL Sunday was pretty cool. I mean, this was my heyday of collecting when I first started, 85, 86, 87. And I've had this card for a long time. And you and I actually went to the card show and got it graded, and it came back a 9, and it's just really cool. I mean, I like it. So,
Card of sweetness, huh?
yeah, it's a sweet card. We'll put it that way. So,
Definitely, man. Well, I went to the Dallas Card Show last weekend. Don't know if I told you about that. I went there on Sunday, and I picked up. I don't know if you've ever seen this kind of card before.
no, is it? Is it a international card or?
Well, it's a 1977 Wholesome Bread card.
Oh wow.
And when this came
Okay,
out in 77, they only made 22 cards. Apparently, 11 were for the Packers and 11 were for the Vikings.
that is really cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
like in this week's card comments article, they were getting into like Wonder Bread cards. But
Yeah.
apparently, I guess they after 3 years they stepped out and Wholesome stepped in. They did
Okay.
77, 78, and then 81 they did it with a not with Topps, but a different manufacturing company to print their cards.
Yeah, that's pretty
I
neat.
was like, dude, 77 Wholesome. I'm like, that's kind of a cool card.
Well,
Something
no,
every day.
yeah, Kelly, tell me. So, how long did that run go for of that wholesome card? I mean, that
Just 3 years,
3
77,
years.
78, and 81.
Wow. So, I wonder what stars are included. Was it only those teams, or did they open it
Oh
up,
no.
expand it?
77 was Vikings and Packers, but then 78 they did like the players from several different NFL teams. And same
Okay.
thing in 81. And I just read that like the 81 Wholesome has like this rookie card of Joe Montana.
Wow,
It's
that's
different from
pretty
Topps,
neat.
obviously. It's so I thought that's kind of a cool, card to go and seek after. So
That's a fun chase card. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. That would be great. It's
definitely,
interesting you show that card, Kelly, because I came across this card in my collection,
man.
and I mean, I just love it as well. It's a 1993 Jimmy Dean Nolan Ryan card,
Dude, food
which
issue
is
cards are pretty cool, man.
I was like, I have a bunch. Whoops, I have a bunch of these kind of different cards that are just totally random that I've kept, and there's a reason because I liked them. When you
Yeah,
got them, you felt like, ooh, Nolan Ryan, that's great. Not only, but it's a Jimmy Dean card, and I got it out of the box, so it's pretty cool.
dude. Well, another pickup that I got is my very first 1971 Topps baseball card.
There we go.
Yeah, Doc Ellis here.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and I was reading, obviously his stats are from his 1970 experience. And so, where he was maybe on some other substances during a no-hitter that year. So I
That
thought, oh man, and it was a sharp-looking 71 Topps baseball card. I was like, man, this is a cool card, so I got to get it.
he wasn't hanging out with Jimi Hendrix or anything like that, was he? Who knows?
Like I said, it was a different era, apparently, in the
Right.
1970s.
But
Also got this,
that much talent though.
dude, I
So
also got this rookie card of the Assassin for my 73 set.
okay, nice.
Yeah, I'm still working on this set. And then now I'm down to one card for my 77 set. Now that I picked up Mr. Bradshaw here.
Okay, great. So how are you doing on the other set, the 73? How many do you have left
Oh,
on that?
it's still in triple digits, man.
Okay, gotcha.
That's just a slow build, and you're trying to get some deals here and there, and not just paying like eBay prices per card with shipping.
Yeah.
That's too expensive to go. So, you just kind of pick and choose your battles and slowly, try to get those cards to complete the set.
Yeah, I think card shows are great for that. That's
Definitely,
really
man.
good. Yeah, I agree. I don't think that's ever going to go away. So that's great.
Well, I was going to ask you about the Nolan Ryan and the Jimmy Dean, which kind of
Yes,
speaks right to this topic, man. Like when you're going through those cards, that do you get that sense of like nostalgia? Do you that old school like what were you doing in 92, 93, 94, and
I
just
do.
kind of curious, man.
Yeah, I do, and I'm glad we that's a good segue because that kind of stopped me when I was looking at them. I go, wow, that's a good card. I remember when I got that, and I started going through a lot of old cards that this morning and finding things like mother's cookies cards of
More
another
food
Nolan
issue
Ryan,
cards, right?
and I'm like I go, and I still have in the wrapper. I'm like, this is really cool, and I remember going to games and I remember getting them before the games when I was a kid for like the Astros cards per se, and
Hmm.
I've still got Mother Cookies sets, and there's a lot of nostalgia there for me because that was me going with my dad or a buddy of mine, and we got to sit in our own seats. We were like 12 or 13, and the parents were away somewhere else, and sitting in another area, and it was just fun. I remember those old days, and it brought me back to like when I first started collecting cards in earnest of baseball, like 85 tops.
Hmm.
And I pulled some of these out and I just looked at them this morning and I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I remember getting this card thinking, oh, this is Don Mattingly, he's a god, he's the man. And it just brings back a lot of that strong feeling of being a collector and what got me moving down this path. So,
Well, I wanted
um,
to ask you, man, like so the role of like nostalgia and card collecting, like what is it that motivates like that nostalgic feeling,
I
and
think, I
you
think
kind
it's,
of touched about like going to games or big players, like what is it for you that drives you with
I
that
think it's those
nostalgia?
I think it's those memories of when it occurred and always wanting to, we always want to go back and grab a little piece of what we had, maybe growing up or hold on to a memory. And I think these collectibles for me, when I look at different things and you look at the different years, I can remember where I pretty much got most of my cards. Probably like 90% of them, I could tell you exactly when I got them, which
Hmm.
some people are like, wow, how can you do that with 20,000 plus cards or something? I'm like, well, it brought back memories. And when I got them, it was maybe I was achieving something. I could afford it, or maybe I'd worked extra. I mowed my dad's yard twice in like 1 month so I could afford a Don Mattingly 85 tops card, or I got it out of a box. That brought back a lot of opening wax packs days and stuff like that. So I
So
think it
do
has to
you
do
feel
with
like it's
memories.
you're reliving those childhood experiences of collecting? Is that what drives you with nostalgia?
Yeah, I think it does, and I think that's going to be true for a lot of collectors. I think they got into sports collecting, watching their favorite players. Most likely, it's definitely from watching sports. I'd have a hard time believing that anybody collected cards and not watched their favorite player at the
Or
time,
team or whatever back
or
then? Yeah.
team, right? And it has emotional connection for that. I mean, I know, especially when you follow your sports teams and someone does well and you're like, oh, I remember that 86 season. I mean, that he was unstoppable. And you may even memorize the stats. Like sometimes I have worthless numbers spinning around in my head for no reason, but
Right.
they stick.
Like a set with a card number of a player, or
Yes.
like you said, or perhaps the actual stats on the back of that card, and you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
remember this year because this is what stood out, or
And what's important is it's something that nobody can take away too, I think. I mean, it's important to me and it makes collecting fun. And when we do these shows and we talk, and I'll go to a card show, which I'm going to go to the one here in Charlotte, which is the largest one in Charlotte, October 10th and 11th and 12th. I'm going to go through the bin boxes, and if I see an 85 Topps Don Mattingly for 50 cents or a
oh, you
dollar,
know it's gone.
I'm probably going to buy it. I mean,
You
I'm
know
that
you're
guy.
the
I mean,
claw just comes out, takes it.
I saw Kirby Puckett 80, like an 85 Fleer rookie at the last show, and it was $5 or maybe $4. And I just bought
In
a
the
whole
value box, yeah.
I bought a whole bunch of cards, and I probably got it for like 350 overall once I bundled everything together. But it's great. I didn't really need it. It was just there, and I'm like, boy, that card belongs to me. It needs to go back to my collection.
But
So
you kind of brought up the experience of collecting and
yeah,
nostalgia. Like, what about when you're going through those boxes, and you had mentioned like, um, Mr. Puckett, Kirby Puckett.
yep.
Like, obviously, you weren't a huge Twins fan. You over the years, you were more of an Astros fan. But when you see that Kirby Puckett, does that take you back to like, the '87 or the '91 World Series wins, or is it big names, big players, big games? Like, what do you think that plays in as far as like when you look
Yeah,
back
if I had to
the
dial
'80s,
that in,
'70s, '90s?
if I had to dial that in, I would say it was a card to get for that set was part of it. So knowing that 85 set, there were certain rookies that were the tough ones to get, and everybody wanted them. And there wasn't that many 85 Fleer Kirby Puckets floating around or wax boxes you could buy back then. So I think it was kind of a chase card back then for me, and I never forget that. And plus, Kirby Puckett, the man, he was a pretty amazing human being. So I think that ties into as well, and even his accolades on the field. I mean, he just did his job. I mean, he had a career 300 batting average. I mean, he was just a good player, and that draws me to him as well.
So for collectors that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, they'll look back at that era, the late 80s, early 90s, and then those big name superstars or those World Series title winning uh,
Yeah,
players. That takes you back to that era, and you're like, hey, I remember this card, this set, that moment. That's why you want those cards.
yeah, and I remember watching that World Series. I think Frank Viola was like the MVP or something in '91 or something, pitching for them, and won like the first game in Game 6 or something. I may be off on my stats, but it made me go through my cards and go, oh, Frank Viola. I've got his rookie card, and I pulled it out and I put it in my rookie card um, area or bin. It may not be valuable, but I mean, he had a moment there where I'm like, okay, I'll forever remember who he is. And
Yeah, I feel that way when I look at like 78 Tops football.
yeah,
Cowboys have won the '77 Super Bowl, Super Bowl 12 over the Broncos. And, my idols, my heroes, being Roger Staubach and Tony Dorsett and Drew Pearson and, Billy Joe Dupree, Tony Hill, like,
yeah,
the Harvey Martin, Randy White. Like, I could just go through that. Listen, and kids of that era, with the teams they followed, they could probably run down the roster of their favorite football, baseball, basketball, hockey teams. Um, but I remember like that '78 set. Like I said, that's my first like football set that I tried to. I was getting wax packs and chewing the gum and looking at those cards. So for me, yeah, definitely the era. And then, like you said, completing the set and that sense of that feeling of youth and what that was, that
yeah.
moment in history that you're trying to hold on to.
because but back then when you were in I was in seventh, eighth grade, maybe early high school. I mean, you didn't go buy a factory set. That just didn't exist. You put sets together yourselves, and it started from getting wax boxes. I'd split one with my buddy. Would go to the beach and would sit down and open up split up a box of like 87 tops or 86 tops, and open them all up, pull out all the good cards, and then would go hang out the beach all day, and then maybe a month later would do it again. It was something fun like that. It reminds me of those kind of days too.
You're shocking me with this, Patrick. The
Yeah.
the idea of going to a beach where there's sand, water,
Well,
air, like all the worst elements for
well,
cards.
the
Like,
best
hey,
the
let's
best
open these
place.
up and
Well,
check out
Kelly,
the
the
card.
best place to buy it was we would always stop. I forget. It was like kind of a convenience store that was on the way, heading south from Houston on the way to Galveston, and we would always stop there. And as his dad would get gas or something, or would get some groceries, and we'd go in there and we'd get a box for $12 of 87 tops. I remember doing that multiple times and splitting it. And it was something fun we would do in the car on the way there, and or when we would get there and it was late because the beach would go in first thing in the morning and get there on Friday evening. And
Hmm.
it was just something fun to do. So I bet to this day, if I were to contact those friends, my buddies that I still stay in touch with, and I mention our trips to the beach, I bet that's one of the top three things that pops in their head
Yeah,
as well.
those memories, that experience.
Yeah.
You mentioned 87 tops, and I saw recently on a on an auction, like 87 complete 87 tops baseball set. I'm shocked. Like, I guess a lot of youth of America at that time were into those cards because the auction price, that thing was going up close to like 40 $45 last I saw for a complete
Wow.
87 tops baseball.
Is
And
that a hand collated set or
and
is that a
correlated
factory?
set,
Okay.
but the person selling it said, hey, it was like near mint, but I was shocked because when I think
Yeah.
of that set, I think it's junk wax. It's mass produced. It shouldn't have that much value other than sentimental reasons.
Yeah.
Apparently, the sentimental reasons drive dollars and they drive desire and
Oh,
value.
yes.
So they want it. And it's like, oh, that whole set. Maybe whoever's bidding on it wanted that complete set, to review and reflect and
Yeah.
try to recapture that moment, like you were saying, and going to the beach or opening cards and trading cards.
Well, I mean, it's pretty amazing because that it drives, that the feeling and thoughts you have will drive your spending habits. I mean, that's proven fact. I mean, lifestyle, whatever it may be, memories, for me are pretty
That
neat.
was the one thing I was going to ask was like, do you look at them as like little time capsules of like certain years or eras or
Yeah, I think so because there's some sets out there that I would never have considered getting back in the day, but now that I've gotten older, I'm like, you know what? An 85 tops football set would be pretty cool to have. And it just kind of like 84 tops was my first football experience because I did baseball first. You mentioned 78 for you.
yeah, 78
84 we would
baseball,
buy,
football for me.
yeah,
77
84 we'd
Star
buy
Wars,
backpacks.
for
So,
me, yeah, 77 Star Wars was my gateway cards into collecting. And I remember seeing the movie and I had like little Star Wars action figures and like just that whole pop culture and influence on me as a kid. Like Star
yeah.
Wars, even to this day, if you play Star Wars Episode 4, New Hope, like you just stop and you just start like watching it and
Yeah.
just I'm enamored with it. Just love like that experience and those thoughts as a kid and that's why I was working on that set, and I finally
Yeah.
completed that 77 tops Star Wars set with the stickers because
Yeah.
it means a lot to me.
And I think what's very unique about card collecting and even collecting anything, period, is it could be it's tailored to you. What you collect and what I collect is totally different. But we still have the same passion, and you and I could go to a show together. Go, all right, man, I'll be right back, and we're maybe on the hunt to complete a set. I mean, it
Right.
doesn't mean that
We
we
both
have to do
enjoy
the
going to the
same.
show, but we're collecting different things. We go different paths, come back, talk, share stories.
Talking to different dealers who maybe have the same passion as you about a certain set. You're like, oh yeah, I don't have that here, but here, let me give you here's my number. Next time, tell me what you need, and I'll meet you here, and I'll
Hmm.
bring them with you. I mean, we do that a lot here in Charlotte because a lot of people can't bring everything they have, but they're always amazed that people are asking them for certain cards. So
Do you think, as we're talking like time capsules and eras and big name players, do you think, the late 1998 home run chase in
Yep.
baseball, between like Sosa and McGuire. Like, do you think folks go after those cards because of that moment, that race? They remember where they were, what they were doing at that time, and
Well, I tell you what, the '90s is hot right now. So '90s is considered vintage. A lot of the younger generation is scooping up anything '90s related. So that wouldn't surprise me on the collecting side. If you were going to a Reddit post or something like that, and there started a feed of the home run chase, I bet there'd be quite a few people on there that would be really into that. That would get into it and say, "Oh, I've got my cards," and they'd show both the McGuire and Sosa.
hmm
I would believe it. So yeah,
You mentioned that about the McGuire and Sosa.
yep,
Look, this is gonna get everyone upset in the card collecting community because they're like, dude, take it out of this monstrosity. This is a part of my late '90s collecting
yep,
experience. But wow, look at this, dude.
nice.
Like that kind of like symbolizes like that whole era. It's like, dude, every time I see this, it takes me back to that summer. I was living in Taiwan, and that, every day just looking at the press clippings of how many did Sosa get? How many did McGuire get? And they're just getting closer and closer. Are they going to
Well,
break the record? How far is this thing going to go?
well, the greatest thing was reading the paper. If you like forgot or missed something or you missed Sports Center, you grab the paper and you'd say, okay, what's going on? I mean, it was a great time. I don't know who missed the highlights though at that time because everybody tuned in to see what was happening. So
I was going to ask you as far as nostalgia and collecting, and then this is a topic that we could go many different ways, but
yeah,
you had mentioned in a previous episode that you wanted to perhaps pass down your cards to your kids.
yes, yep,
And so do you think for that, for you, when you like the nostalgia of telling your kids these stories of, hey, this is why this card's significant to me, or hey, this happened in this year, like how much of an impact do you
yeah.
think it plays in your collecting universe?
Oh, I think so because we've talked about this, you and I, and I've kind of trying to take the massive collection after the next last few years. I'm trying to narrow it down to what was important to me. And I think this starts my conversations with my children about, hey, okay, this is Nolan Ryan. Let me tell you about Nolan Ryan. Let's watch some. You could watch anything now, so
Yeah,
let's
YouTube,
get on
man. We didn't have that
get on
growing up.
YouTube and
YouTube, you can see anything and everything,
I
man.
go. This is called a no hitter. Watch this. So and this gentleman had multiple. So I mean, why'd you like him, Daddy? Just get into a conversation with your kids. I mean, I'm on the precipice right now where they're just old enough where they would comprehend some of these things and understand and go, okay, pretty neat.
This is why Dad liked Nolan Ryan.
Yeah.
He was an Astro, the no hitters, strikeout chant, of all
And
time, and
yeah, and I'm really waiting until the moment where I can actually give them a card that they can have maybe in their bedroom because I think they're still to a point where that card would probably be given away to somebody without them thinking about it. They're not there yet, the understanding, but I'm working behind the scenes on my end to make sure I narrow it down to what I want them to know about. I mean, it doesn't mean that I want them to be only a fan of these players, but
Mhm.
it starts something. And when they see that card maybe in 30 years, like, oh, Dad really liked this card. Oh yeah, remember that story you told us? I mean, that'd be pretty cool. And I think collectibles can do that. Sports can do that.
Yeah, well, even with my own son, I've told you the story about how we watched "It Ain't Over Till It's Over," the story of Yogi Berra on
Yeah.
Netflix, and how he and I are going to try to go on a Yogi Berra PC run and he's very picky. Particularly, he's like, "Hey, I only want PSA graded cards." Well,
Okay.
that's great until you get to like his first, 5, 6 years in the league, where those are pretty penny.
Yeah.
So, but that for him, he'll have that memory of, hey, Dad and I going to card shows, trying to build this thing out, and that movie, and how that kind of set a tone with him of why Yogi Bear is an important person in not only card collecting history, but in history, D-Day and all the championships and who he was as a person.
Yeah. It's funny because your son added in that little wrinkle of the PSA only.
Yeah,
So he's taking it and running with it. In sense.
his
He's
first one was the PSA to
yeah.
Dad, I got to be uniform. He is
Yeah.
very particular about that. He to a T. Me, I'm like, slabnostic, whatever. But him,
Yeah.
PSA only.
Yeah. No. I think that's great. Yeah. And right now, Pokemon is pretty popular in my household.
Dude, Pokemon is on fire, fire.
And
Wait,
trying to
it goes
find
into
it.
this next topic.
Okay,
Like,
trying to find it was. I mean, I went to a CVS and they have it locked behind behind the counter, and I'm like, what's going on here? It's like, oh well, Pokemon's pretty popular. I mean, somebody will come in and buy all these, and we're not going to sell all of them to somebody. And I'm like, oh really? I didn't know that CVS could do that. They could put a limit on it, and this my local one has done that.
well,
So
Target, aka Target, right before I went back to Taiwan this past summer, yeah, they were like, hey, two boxes of product only. That's it, limit per customer. So
yeah,
yeah, they're definitely controlling inventory, but getting into this like hot topic of the hot market and this bubble that we're in, everything I've seen and read, Pokemon is kind of what has kind of led sports cards onto this hot
yeah.
market as well.
Well, the markets in North America and Asia Pacific are booming, and they're going to continue to boom for the next decade. I don't see that ever slowing down. So it'd be cool to have some crossover from, cards that are manufactured only, like you mentioned, in Taiwan or only in Japan. That could be, that could be part of people's PC here in the United States, and vice versa. Um, yeah, I think you're right. I think that the Gathering, Magic the Gathering. I mean, some of those are driving um, interest because people we like to follow our players and sports teams like Nolan Ryan. When I was growing up, and now these kids are into characters maybe. So, and I think that's driving a lot of them because my kids know so much about Pokemon. I'm like they evolve into this other person. I'm like, okay, it's over my head. It's like what's
Right.
going on here?
Do you feel like why have you thought about like because I was looking at like the gem rate numbers and like year to year, right now the market for like PSA grading cards submitted and graded is still up significantly from a year ago at the end of August. It's like 20% and like SGC and Beckett have taken a hit. They're
Okay,
lower, CGC they're up, a significant amount, like 147% because of their Pokemon TCG grading, volume. So, do you see this? Do you think? I mean, we're adults. We've seen markets go up and they come down. When do you, obviously, if you can see the crystal ball in the future, you would say, hey, here's the date. But how long does this good thing last, you think?
I'm pretty bullish on it. I mean, I think I read something over the week, over this week that the sports collectible market is something like $15 billion in 2024, and it's going to grow until like in 2030 to like something like 25 billion. So if they're saying these or 24 billion, if they're saying these numbers are kind of accurate for their forecasts, I mean that's substantial growth. I mean that's healthy, and that's only 5 years.
Card
So
Ladder reported at the end of August saying something like there were like $416 million worth of sports card or trading card transactions for just the
okay,
month of August. And we know about the big one, that '07, '08 dual logo man with Bryant and Jordan going for was it like 13 million or something like that. With Kevin
yeah,
O'Leary and that investment group. I mean, there's a lot of eyes on the hobby right now, man, and it's
yeah, and I think it's driven, by the nostalgia that we just talked about. I mean, I think that brings some maybe collectors who were in the game maybe at one point. Maybe they come back in because they have children now, like
Mhm.
we just mentioned. And they're like, oh, okay, well, this is kind of neat. Yeah, I'll go to a show with you. And maybe your son runs off to Pokemon and you start poking around the, 1988 tops Greg, or you want a Greg Maddox Donruss rookie. And you're like, wow, I'll buy that for $2, something like that. So there's a
Kids are
transaction that
doing
may have never,
Pokemon, you're doing sports cards. That's
yeah,
fun.
there's a transaction may have never happened, but there's a deep emotional connection for you as a fan to a team or a player. And I think in the other side is you start getting into the investment and the high potential of return. Obviously, I mean, that growth is going to be there. So if you don't, maybe you don't mind plunking down $100 for something because you're like, okay, well, maybe in 5 years, this $100 is, maybe it's 200, maybe it's 150, but I don't think it's ever going to go down to 100. I mean, that's got to be part of it.
As part of our disclaimer, obviously, we're not giving financial advice.
Correct. Yeah.
This is just entertainment purposes. But uh, obviously, the highest valued cards, they're going to be in the spotlight. I just wonder if this bubble this hot market that we're in, like because I wasn't a part of like that COVID rise. So I didn't experience the hey, every
Yeah,
car just going up exponentially like on the daily.
yeah, same
And,
here.
it's just be like a long sustained growth over the next couple of years or and is that tied into like real world consumer confidence, as Americans, they got some discretionary dollars, they feel good about their jobs and their homes and
Correct.
to have discretionary income to say, you know what, I'm going to invest or I'm going to spend or I'm going to entertain with these cards.
Well, here's a wild thought. So you have $100 to play with. Would you buy lottery tickets or would you buy unopened wax boxes of some of your, of say NFL football or baseball?
Yeah, I
Obviously,
mean, obviously being a card show, CardBlitz,
yeah,
we are all about, we like cards, and so
yeah,
we're not rolling. And again, the hobby is kind of like the gamble they're saying nowadays. But
yeah,
for me, the $100 spent on the entertainment and the collection and the nostalgia versus, hey, yeah, can I win X amount of dollars? That's to me is two separate things.
you're correct.
If I have
But I'm talking
$100 to
about the high,
spend extra, I'm probably going to spend it on some cards and entertain myself.
or would you go out and buy a card for $100 that's already graded, of a player like you mentioned the Yogi Berra PC. I mean,
Mhm.
I think there's multiple options for collectors. So when you mentioned that 416 million in transactions, I mean, I wonder if that involves the retail side as well. Like, is that like big block chains buying,
Yeah, the Targets and
$1 million
the
worth of
stops.
merchandise? Yeah,
Good question, man. And that doesn't even include like all the non-official stuff. You're talking
correct.
your Facebook groups, your Twitter groups, and Instagram and whatnot. Like personally, I haven't gone to whatnot. I feel like that's the wild, wild west of unregulated like mayhem. You
Yeah,
can do that with your time and effort. That's one that I don't feel confident in, so I'm not going there.
yeah. They're moving cards though. I mean, I've gone on there
Yeah,
because one of my friends says you need to check this out. I'm like, you know what? I'm open to things. Let me look. And you're right. It's like some guy going, "Woo! Here we go. Now we're going flying through here." And I was like,
it just
"Holy!"
price keeps going
I
up.
go, I go. That guy sold a whole box of stuff in like 20 minutes. I'm like, wow.
Mhm.
I mean, so I see that, but yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna take my time and figure out what I want because I'm unlike some new collectors in the market where they're buying things and they're getting into like more things that are new, and I still like my old things. So, and I
Nostalgia.
yeah, my
Today's
nostalgia,
topic,
yeah,
nostalgia.
it's
Um, as we're winding down, man, let me throw a little stump question to you. Now that's NFL
all right.
Sunday here on
Okay,
Card Blitz, and we're gonna get nostalgic. We're gonna go back about 30 years to
okay,
1995, and here's your stump question, man. It deals with NFL, American Football Conference running backs,
okay.
rookies in particular. So, which NFL rookie from the AFC took the rushing had the most amount of yards for rushing in 1995. You ready for your four options?
Okay.
Actually, five. I found five.
Okay.
Option one, Curtis Martin. Option two, Edgerrin James. These are all rookies. Option
Okay.
three, Terrell Davis. Option four, Kijana Carter. Option five, Napoleon Kaufman. So you
I'm
got Curtis
going.
Martin, you got Edgerrin James, Terrell Davis, Kijana Carter, and Napoleon Kaufman. Who
I'm gonna. I'm.
had the most yards rushing for the AFC in 1995 of
Yeah, I'm
these
gonna go.
five rookies?
I had Curtis Martin in my head as one option before you even mentioned the selections. So I don't know. These things pop in my head. I may have to go with it. I'm gonna go with Curtis Martin.
So you're going with Curtis Martin, your favorite Martin,
Yeah.
just like 43.9% of America. And you are correct.
Nice. All right.
Curtis
Nice.
Martin led the AFC in rushing as a rookie. He had the most carries of those five,
It,
most yardage of those five that year.
Here's a little bonus question for you. What college did Kajana Carter go to? Just
Penn
throwing it.
State.
Yeah. He
Nittany
was a beast.
Lion.
He was a beast coming out of college.
Dude, yeah. Napoleon Kaufman for the
Napoleon.
Raiders. He put up
Yep.
big yards. And Terrell Davis, his Super Bowl performance and
Well, Terrell Davis. It
had
took
two
him a while.
titles.
It took Terrell Davis, I think, a year or two to get moving, right? To get
Yeah, it
to get
wasn't until like that. I think it was the 98 season, Super
98. Yeah,
Bowl.
I remember that.
And his migraines were a big topic in the Super
Yeah.
Bowl. He had to come out for a little bit. And Edgerrin James, man, Dude, he was hot with the Colts. He had
Yeah.
a great run in the early aughts and late 90s too.
Oh yeah, he and if you played fantasy football back in the day, dude, Edgerrin James was a beast in the late '90s. I mean,
Edgerrin James, Marshall Faulk,
yeah,
Curtis Martin,
Nadadian,
like you said, those backs that could do both.
yeah, yeah. Terrell Davis's story is pretty neat. I mean, I think he was almost out of football, and then
Mhm.
they that he just made a renaissance. He just made a recovery, and that new offense that they installed for the running game, and
Yeah,
um,
the zone run.
yeah, it
So
opened up.
yeah, they're zone right, zone left.
Yeah, he just embraced it and he took off. And dude, he was amazing for like
Yeah,
3 years.
one
So
one cut back kind of runner. Either you're going
yeah,
with the flow or you're cutting back, just one cut.
but the
Uh,
whole offense is pushing everything off to the side, and they take the defense with them. So
well, let's say, man, as we got less than 40 seconds here, so
all
let's
right,
wrap up with a hey, y'all. Thank you for watching. If you have thoughts on nostalgia and its role in the hobby and with you, please share that in the comments or shoot us an email at info@blitzweekly.com. Patrick, any last words?
now let's have a good day of football. I mean, let's see this product the NFL puts out every Sunday. Can't
All
wait.
right. And on that note, we are out of here. Till next time.
See ya.